Welcome back, everyone, here to Full Circle, Florida. Let's bring in ABC News political correspondent Rachel Bade with some sharp new insight on this week in politics. Never a dull week. Okay, there were 18 primaries across the country this week. Any big takeaways from these races that stood out to you? Any foreshadowing of what the results could mean for November?
Hey there, Paul. I would say the big one that was sort of the top headline for a lot of reporters across the country was the defeat of Cori Bush. She is a member of the AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Progressive Squad, one of the most left-leaning members of the House. And she actually lost her primary around St. Louis, and this comes just a few weeks after another member of the squad in New York also lost his primary. I would say there's a couple things we can take away from this. Number one, even though the Democratic Party has been moving left in recent years, Democratic voters clearly want someone who's going to show up and do the work. With Cori Bush, it was a big problem in this primary because she had missed a lot of votes. Her and Jamal Bowman, these two squad members who were defeated, were seen as sort of more interested in the national limelight and going sort of viral on Twitter rather than actually meeting with constituents. And they both voted against key pieces of the Biden administration agenda, like the infrastructure bill, which actually angered a lot of their constituents. But the big reason they ended up losing is because pro-Israeli groups poured millions of dollars into these races to defeat them. These two folks were very outspoken, but actually beyond outspoken when it came to having a pro-Palestinian cause. They at one point questioned whether reports about rapes of Israeli women on October 7th were propaganda, and that angered a lot of people. People said enough, and so clearly there's a line that Democrats are going to have to be aware of when it comes to sympathizing with Palestinians, but not sympathizing with Hamas.
There certainly seems to be a reckoning within the Democratic Party on that issue in particular. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has been taking some heat for not taking questions from reporters at events and not yet doing a real sit-down interview where she's challenged on her record. Why hasn't she done that yet? Any indication from Team Harris on if that's going to change?
Yeah, Paul, it's been a big frustration amongst reporters here in Washington. I mean, there's a lot of questions we have for her, and the fact that she hasn't talked to anyone in the media in terms of, sit-downs or press conferences. Frankly, it's not something we expected. A lot of people have questions about these positions she sort of changed over the years. She used to be, for instance, a big supporter of Medicare for all. Now she's not. She used to support banning fracking. Now she doesn't. These are legitimate questions that she needs to answer as a candidate. But I can tell you from our reporting, her team doesn't see an upside in having these sort of exchanges with reporters. They feel like they're getting a lot of coverage of these big rallies, tens of thousands of people showing up, and this being carried on a lot of the networks, folks actually zeroing in on TV. They're getting their message out.
Rachel Bade, thank you as always. Appreciate it. Still to come on Full Circle, Florida, as the kids go back to school this week, I'm sitting down with a superintendent who's trying to elevate expectations in one of Florida's fastest growing districts, and you'll see the topic that got him choked up during our conversation.